everyone, and welcome to the Charter Club Committee meeting, and I will call this meeting to order. I'm Donna Maloney, Chair of the committee. First item on the agenda is quorum, and we do have all club members or all committee members present, so we do have a quorum. First item on the agenda is the minutes from January 4th, 2022 meeting. Do I have any amendments to those minutes? Hearing none, they will stand as written. New business, first item, Charter Club's update. Casey?
I don't have a whole lot. I'll just make a couple announcements for this month. I know ARC has their car show next Saturday, the 12th. And then Palo Verde Patchers have their quilt show at the end of this month. I believe it's a 2-day event, 26th and 27th. So if you are looking for a few things to do over the course of the weekends with in Sun City West, come support your clubs. That's it.
And next item, Casey, liaisons.
Sure. So I've talked to quite a few clubs. Some clubs know, and then I have reached out to our charter club committee here, and we have reorganized the liaisons. So in the past, it used to be per rec center. So this time we've categorized it, so you can see it's arts and crafts clubs, card clubs, sports clubs, etc. So each one of them have the president's contacts, so they will start contacting you to make sure that you know who represents your clubs, and that way it's just going to be a better communication, and it will help myself and Donna as well. I've chosen the selections I have chose have a lot of strengths. They represent a lot of the clubs that they are affiliated with. For example, Karen and Kathy are part of arts and crafts, so it just makes sense to have them represent arts and crafts. So as you can see, I'm not going to go through. You can probably just kind of see, but Judy Thompson and Otto. Judy Thompson was the president of Card Players of Sun City West. So she's very familiar on the consolidation that we did there. So that's very helpful. And then Otto will be with her. The educational, Mary Kay and Carol Card. Mary Kay has helped, and she's currently helping with Desert Garden, and she's also doing the Palo Verde Patchers with the 501c3 conversion. So with the educational side of it, we have a few that are interested in that direction. You see ARC is in there as well. They are a 3 in addition to. Fitness and dance, we have Leanne. She was really excited about it, I think. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. With this, I have Yoga and Fitness Club, Country Western. You can just kind of read and go ahead, and Leanne, we'll just work with you as, you know, questions come. And I see Pam is out there. Raise your hand, Pam. She's rock and roll. She's president, so there's one of yours. Social clubs, we have Pat Bowers. She will be representing all of these clubs that you see listed. Now, this is a big undertaking, but for the most part, these clubs are pretty self-sufficient. So any questions that come arise, you see your name listed there. Pat can definitely assist with anything, and we're here to help as well. Sports club is Joel Piaskowski. He's part of tennis, very, very passionate about tennis, so I think it just made sense to put him as the sport liaison. Again, any questions? Currently, Phil Dautrieve, he's not here today, but I think everybody knows him. He already is our golf club liaison, so he will represent them. And then myself will be representing the performing arts, so Dance Sensation, Theater West, and Western Airs. That one's a little bit more complicated, and I have pretty much been representing them since they started selling tickets through the box office, so we'll just keep that there. On a fun note, with everything going on, there's been a lot of craziness within the clubs and some things going on, so we thought Dory had a good idea, so I'm going to put Dory on the spot. This came from her. We're going to start redoing our website. I mentioned that at the last meeting. And we would like to feature a club of the month every month. So that will be determined at our charter club committee meetings. So they now know about it. So next month we will select a club. And then on the homepage, it will basically be a picture of that club and why they were featured. So I'm just trying to build a little bit more camaraderie in the community with the clubs, the liaisons, and I'm hoping this helps. Got to try something, right? So that's it for the liaisons. They know what their roles are. They are here to help, support, and if you have any questions, you know, if you want to not come to the rec centers and want to reach out to them, that's what they're there for. Okay? Positive, all positive, folks.
And any other comments, Casey, on the website?
I can go ahead and, yeah, just continue through the website.
Sure.
All right, just real briefly, as many of you know, we are a little short-handed across the board. So I didn't get with Mike too much on redoing the website, but we will start that here probably in the next couple weeks. The homepage, like I said, that will be the featured club that's selected by the committee here. The about, we're going to update that. That's a little outdated. And then on the forms portion or the document portion, there's a CR form list that's part of the appendix. And there's a list there that has the form itself, the title, the due date, and the description. So I think that'll help alleviate a lot of questions and help understand what those forms are for and what they're about. So hopefully that'll be a little bit more transparent on our end. Other than that, the one change that we will have that you will see, I don't even know if anybody used it because I did not, but on the club directory, there was a category list. I made the decision to just remove that. That was very hard to read. I think everybody felt that way. So, but I do have a question that I would like to ask the committee. There is a non-charter list that is located on this club directory. There's about 11 of them. That includes Kiva, all the state clubs that are non-chartered, so on and so forth. Do we want to continue to advertise for them? And we're not doing anything except for adding their external link, but that's it. So just leave it up to you and kind of go from there.
Okay, I think let's take consensus as far as yes, to leave them on the website. Mary Kay? Leave them on, leave them on, leave them on, leave them on.
Yes.
All righty, there you go.
Okay.
Unanimous consensus.
Sounds good.
All righty. All done, Casey?
I think so.
All righty. Then we will move on to 3.04. That's Charter Club's RR&P recommendations. And per on the screen, you will see the changes that are being recommended. And I would like to just say that the black was the original, the red was a change, the blue was another change, and the yellow is the current recommended change. So I think I will start with we are including a definition for independent contractor, a person paid for providing a specific service within an identified time period, can realize either a profit or loss from service, has an investment in equipment or facilities, works for more than one entity, and offers services to the general public. Moving on, under contracts, in letter A, examples of contract services are dance bands, instructors, bridge directors, dance callers, lecturers, entertainers, or any other similar or technical service provider. In keeping with these RR&Ps, an individual who is paid by a club to perform services must be engaged by written contract. Follow this link to irs.gov and referenced in independent contractor guidelines herein. Moving on to B, Form CR8, Independent Contractors Agreement, must be signed by the contractor and club president and reviewed by the Recreation Activities Manager for reasonableness and liability insurance coverage. It continues with 1, services provided by other charter clubs are not subject to this provision. Number 2, Form CR8 is not required for food catering services. Number 3, which has had numerous changes, and I would like to add that this change that I am currently going to read has been vetted with the attorney. Club member instructors who are not an independent contractor may not receive payment for services. These club member instructors may receive donations. Moving on to C, charter clubs may not have employees. And D, club leadership determines qualifications for contractors, identifies parameters of service, length of time, cost of service, and individual chosen per club bylaws. The remaining of that section on contracts is unchanged. So I would like to open it up for any discussion from committee members. Judy.
RAM, do we need to write that out? You've got RAM,
No.
Activities Manager, using the initials is okay?
Yes, the initials are okay, and I was just reading it out loud so that in case anyone in the audience didn't understand what RAM was. Anybody else? Any other committee members?
So on B3, where it talks about club
Kathy.
members may receive donations from the club, from members, from anybody?
When they are doing their class, they could have a container that said donations, and if they wanted to put on their recommended amount of donation, and then it would be strictly voluntary for anyone attending that class to make a donation.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Donna, just a point of clarification on number 2, the Form
Yes, Joel.
CR8 not required for food catering services. Is that simply because, you don't use a caterer that often?
Food catering service has another form that is required, I believe. Casey? Certificate of liability. Yeah, certificate of
That's all
liability.
you need for food catering? Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. Anything else? I am going to be jumping up screaming. No other comments? Well, the procedure is to go to that mic over there and identify yourself and give your red card number.
Here it goes. I was really trying to hold comments today. I guess first off, my name is Lynn Kellis, number 129120, and I'm the president of the Clay Club. First off, I'd just like to comment, I'm not sure that the definition there is necessary in the document, but that obviously is not my call, but I really don't think it's necessary in an RR&P. And a question regarding donations. For example, in our new student classes, they require tools, they require clay, they require handbooks, and that's what our teachers have been doing all along, is creating their curriculum and supplying tools to them and getting the block of clay to get them started. So if you're saying that they just give donation to these teachers, my question is, do they have to go out and buy a full kit of tools now that they're not sure they even want to do it full time? Because they are allowed, the teacher has her own tools that she lets them borrow through that class. So now you're putting that expense out for people who want to come and join our club to say, now you have to go out and buy all of these tools just to come to that class that you might want to donate so much money, that is 3 days a week for 3 weeks. And, oh, by the way, you got to buy the clay, and somehow we got to teach about our practices and so on, all the safety things about, staying away from the kilns and how to use the glazes and all that. So I guess my question is, how do you see that unfolding? Do you see that it's their responsibility coming into the club? Anybody who wants to join will have to take on those expenses right up front rather than deciding if they really want to stay with it and incur that kind of expense?
I think that would be a club decision. The club would either decide if they want to reimburse expenses. Again, it would be within the club for you to decide. It would be part of that contract.
Well, I just wonder how we can do that if all we can do is ask for a donation for that.
Lisa, behind you, who is has been an instructor, would like to respond to your question. Can she respond? And I don't think the mic is working, Lisa.
How's that? Better? Okay. So 123774. So for copper enameling and glass arts, we'll use them as an example because that's where I was an instructor previously. Their instructors, the club itself has tool kits that they have chosen to put together for the instructors that teach the beginning classes to use. And then the people coming in to take the classes, they would use those kits, which then they would determine whether or not this is for them and they want to continue on. And then what they've also done is they've decided, okay, these are the supplies you're going to use in the class, and they've broken it out. And they explained that at the last meeting too, how much the instructors make, and then I think the class itself is $70 or something, and 30 was supplies and 40 went to the instructors. So they've broken it out. So theoretically, they've already told us that they would put maybe $40 donation to the instructor on that box, on that tub or whatever they choose. And hopefully everybody will comply with that takes the classes and help, pay the instructors. So that would be my suggestion, Lynn, is maybe that Clay, I don't know if you guys, each of your instructors has a set number of people in each class, but maybe you guys can put together kits or something for them. But that's one way. But you're going to get, the people will pay for the supplies to the club. They can pay the club directly for the supplies. There's not a problem for anybody taking the class, pay the club for the supplies. That is not a problem. So you just break it out and say, if the class is $125, well, 50 is, I don't know your numbers, so I'm just using an example. 50 is supplies, and the 75 would go to you would put it as an, correct. You, as an, no. Well, they're gonna, they always pay for the $125 for the class, do they not? Well, no, you have the club initially. I'm reasonably sure your club can put together, they have probably enough money to put together, 4 or 6 kits to start with, and then those kits become club kits, and they stay in the club. And then all the new students coming in will use those kits. Mm-hmm. And as the glass club definitely does too, because the wheels on those tools on the cutters have to be replaced. Yeah, correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let us end this discussion with the fact that the club, again, will make the determination as far as how to reimburse for actual expenses.
Dawn, I do have a question.
Yes,
If the
Karen?
club is asking, setting aside a certain amount for, if you want to say beginner class fee, for a quote donation, to me, donation means it's voluntarily.
It is.
So therefore, the person taking the class should be aware they have the option to donate or not donate.
That is correct. It is not required. It is totally voluntary. Liane?
Yes, when I took an art class a year or so ago, I got, it was a drawing class, and I got an email from the instructor, told me the minimum amount of tools that I needed, the website to get them because they were the cheapest, all right? So it was my responsibility to get those tools, bring them to the class. So, and I agree, and then there's no reason you can't have a jar there that says recommended donation for the instructor is. But is that going to be a major problem if you ask them to get minimum tools for what you need for your class?
It's all new. We'll have to, find that out if that's the case. A couple other questions is, one, can we charge them for like a handbook? Because we put handbooks together and all of that type of thing.
If you...
So that now becomes our job rather than the teachers, right?
The club may charge to recoup their expenses for that class.
Okay.
You can, and again, if you had in your club bylaws that the club would reimburse expenses, then I think you would be fine. But you cannot pay an instructor without having clear definition of what you're not paying them to instruct the class. You are paying them to reimburse their expenses.
Okay, does this
Correct.
mean that they no longer have to fill out the CR8?
Again, are they an independent contractor? We are talking about two different
Okay.
things here. If they are an independent contractor, a true
though
independent
they're a member, okay.
contractor, then you are actually paying them to teach, and that should include the cost of their expenses. What we're talking
Okay.
about here are club members who are instructors who are not independent contractors.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Another question I had, of course, shoot, I just forgot what it was. Oh, when it comes to the insurance, the way I read it, I wasn't real clear if when it is reviewed by the RAM, does the insurance, is it the same for members as non-members? My understanding is the members are already
Okay.
covered, but
Yes.
non-members would have
Yes.
to have.
So on the CR8 form, you will check a box as to whether this is the instructor or whoever, the independent contractor, are they a club member or are they not a club member? And depending on how they answer
Perfect.
that will determine the insurance liability requirement.
Perfect. Okay. I just wanted to clear up some things because I know I'm going to have a myriad of questions, from my teachers. So then it is on us to go through and decide what we need to do, getting handbooks together, charging for those.
Right.
If they need to have equipments, we'll just charge them up front
Right.
for their
Again,
equipment coming
you
in.
will make those determination in your club bylaws, which then will be approved by Casey, the Recreation Activities Manager.
Okay. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
You're welcome.
Michael Haheim, 73271. I have a simple wording question. If you're going to take the time to point out that I believe it was a CR8 is not required, does it not seem appropriate to tell them at this point what is required? If you're going to enter the not, my suggestion would be that you also enter the this is what you do at that point. Your decision, no question. Unless you have a comment on it.
Okay, thank you, Michael. John?
Hello, John Christensen, 1358882. Just curious, in the wording, no club may have an employee. That, I assume the word employee is the common everyday understanding of the word, what's in the dictionary.
Yes.
Okay.
One that you would pay
Right,
worker,
regularly,
you
yeah.
know, workers'
Not
comp,
the
unemployment.
IRS independent contractor versus employee dilemma, really, it's a dilemma. Okay, and how about the word independent contractor? Is that similarly kind of what we would understand to be?
And again, we are giving you a link that you can click on, and then
I'm very
in that link, you will have clear IRS
Yes.
explanation as to the difference between employee and independent contractor.
Yes, I understand what that is. I was an independent contractor for a living for a long
Okay.
time, and I've familiarized myself with those words. And the IRS is merely wants to, everybody as much as possible to be designated as an employee. So, I mean, that's what they're doing. So unless you familiarize yourself with that, you're gonna assume that it's your common understanding of independent contractor. But I understand you have the link there, so I guess that works.
Thank you, John. Any other comments? All righty. Let us move forward as getting consensus from the committee to move this forward to the governing board workshop as I have read it. Pat? Carol? Kathy? Mary Kay? Judy? Otto? Lyon? Joel? And Karen? We have unanimous consensus to move this forward. Praise the Lord. Okay, moving on. Now, let's get excited and hear from David from the Desert Garden Club regarding a botanical garden. David.
Thank you for letting us speak with you today. You want to see a bunch of excited people? Look for the garden club people because the new greenhouse is coming. They dug the footings, they're putting in some rebar. Along with this, because of the situation where we were a social club, we have applied to be a 501c3 nonprofit with two purposes, would be educational and charitable. The educational aspect of our club is what brings us here today. What we propose to do is take the area outside the greenhouse at Beardsley and turn it into a classroom, a plant classroom. We have, allocated through our membership up to $15,000 of our money to pay for this. So we're not asking for money. We're just saying we'd like to do this. We put together a committee to design and implement this once we get approval. With that, I'm going to turn it over to two of the members of that committee. Jim Consolay is a trained botanist who's head of the committee and an experienced horticulturist, so he knows the plants. And Pat Wanta is a professional landscape designer. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to them, and they'll give you the idea that we want to do over at Beardsley.
Good afternoon. Before I go any further, let me tell you, I'm scared to death to be up here. I've not dealt with a big
Please
committee
pull the
before.
mic down a little bit towards your.
Okay.
There you go.
All my experience has been with homeowners, and it's usually just a husband and wife, and they say yay or nay. When dealing with a committee, it seems that there's just so many more of you. But we'll do the best we can. To start with, this picture that you're seeing up here is the current greenhouse site, and if you see against the wall, there's a white line that shows the peak of the roof, and that's where the greenhouse actually came out. We will have a large greenhouse there replacing it. And as you can see, there's a lot of plants that were removed, and we've saved them for reuse in the future with the new picture of what we want as a botanical garden. The entire space is an L shape. The greenhouse is actually at the elbow part of it. And the front, the picture that you most see is where the botanical garden will be. In that area, there's a retention basin that right now is just a pile of rocks. And we want to make it look like a ravine, a very stately ravine and beautiful. I think that you went past the previous slide. Nope, okay, the next one then. The picture on the left is the area when you first come in. We want it to look much like that. It's hard to see, but down at the bottom of the cactuses there are a lot of rocks, and there is berming. And this will also intensify and accentuate the ravine look. These will be in that section too. That's where we're going to do a lot of the cactuses and the plants that we most frequently use right here within the Arizona desert houses. So people can understand what they can plant, how they can plant them, what's going to service them well. The second picture, the one on the right-hand side, that's going to be a Sonoran desert area that features a saguaro, which everybody knows what a big saguaro is, you know, one of these. And then we'll also do a cordon cactus, which is the Mexican version of a saguaro, and it's hard to tell the difference unless you see them more or less side by side, so we want one of each. And those two cactuses are probably going to be the most expensive thing we put in here, but nonetheless, it will feature our gardens so you can compare one to the other. Also, what we're featuring is to be water friendly. Trying to get it down to xeriscaping so that people don't have to waste a lot of water. Water is a big commodity in our deserts, so it's very important to do this. These two areas are the ones we're going to be concentrating on first, because I think they're the most important to get everything going. Next slide. On the left here is the fourth area that we want to do, and then the fifth area. What the fourth one would be is an area that has smaller cactuses by the type of cactus that they are, and we need to have these all labeled, and so people can identify them. This is the teaching part of it, from looking at it and knowing what you're dealing with. The fifth part would be for birds and butterflies and perennials. This will give us a wildflower garden. Both of these are going to be designed around the retention areas because we have to keep those retention basins. So we want to, again, make them look really, really pretty and show what you can do with an area that's not just flat land. And we also want to keep it where we have something blossoming and give some interest all year round. So try to get a variety of different perennials in there. This one is the botanical garden with the four most featured areas. At the upper left-hand area there's a darker line, that's the greenhouse. In front of it, there's a V-shaped place, and that is for the meet and greet area. This would be new students coming in, people visiting the garden where we can stop and talk to them. And we'd like to put a water fountain in there or a feature of some sort somewhere down the line. Not initially, it's not enough for our budget right now, but that's in the future, that's what we'd like to incorporate. towards the center, there's an area that's marked agaves. We want to overlap the area with agaves because we have so many different types of agaves in the area, and we want to make sure people can identify the different types and know which ones suit them the best. Over on the far right-hand lower corner, you can see there's a box there, there's a tree in there that we'll end up needing to replace. And then the Clay Club is just the far south of that. And they have a garden section out in front of their area that is technically not part of our botanical garden, but we do want to liven it up so it looks pretty nonetheless. Going on to the next one. There you see the Clay Club garden down at the bottom. Okay, and then the next one. These are some additional ideas. Right on the left-hand side, it's for the entry. Right now, it's just all a tan color block that's kind of deteriorating, and the wall will be repaired and repainted, but not for a year or two. So that's in our scope of work. We want to brighten it up with a lively color. It doesn't necessarily need to be yellow, but in that picture, you can see how it just enlivens the whole space. So maybe we'll use the orange and the turquoise that we use in our logo around the whole complex. We can also put some lettering above it to identify the garden. So people looking in from the road will also see that the garden is there. Additionally, along the greenhouse on the right-hand side here, we'd like to put up an arbor. And again, mentioning a water feature, there's a water feature shown. These are just for inspiration, not necessarily exactly what we're going to do, but those are also things that are on our agenda for, who knows, 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. But as we grow, these are anticipated things we'd like to do. I'll let Jim take over now, and he can give you a little bit of a breakdown on what we have going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Yeah, we wanted to give you some idea of the first spring's project work and how it breaks out in the various areas that Pat mentioned. The site and soil work would include some independent contract as well as supplementing that with our own labor. So we have 75 plants sitting in the wings, ready to go in the ground. We hope to implement some of the retention area first as that becomes available to us, so we can get that out and running right away. We'll use some of our own labor. We have a good committee and a bunch of plants people. So we're in pretty good shape there. As far as irrigation, again, we want to use a drip irrigation, conserve water, and show the members of this community that we're really serious about water. And the term is xerophytic landscaping, which means using plants that have very low water use. So that's going to be part of our buying in the next couple years, finding plants in that category, both trees, shrubs, and other plants that are beneficial to the insect world, the bird world. If you look at what Audubon is up to right now, they are trying to introduce plants across the country. And we hope to, by changing the name of our club to the Desert Landscape Club, we feel like this is going to be something people will want to come and with all their questions and whatnot. Pat mentioned some larger specimens, so the 7,000 would go toward this area of purchase. Signs and plant labels. It's important to having a garden that is both interpretive and has significant labeling.
And we hope to use something that Sun City West will be able to continue in the future with labeling of trees and plants and particularly the desert succulents. So that's our budget for spring, 15,000. And we hope to get a lot of volunteers and maybe some additional donations along the way. So if anyone has any idea or maybe a wallet or something they could open. Thank you.
Well, I would just like to say, this is a wonderful thing, and I can't thank you enough personally for taking your space and beautifying it for us all here in Sun City West. Thank you so very much, and
You're
this
welcome.
is beautiful.
If I might answer some questions or have
Sure.
comments or whatever, you're more than welcome
Let's
to
see
ask.
if we've got any committee members that would like to. Joel?
I'm just curious on you're going for your 501c3 designation, and one of the areas was educational. I'm just curious, is this educational simply for residents of Sun City West, or do you plan to go outside of Sun City West to invite groups in for
No,
education?
it's both within and beyond. We're talking about possibly reaching out to some of the elementary schools, for instance. So no, it's not limited to just our residents.
The other question I had, I know it's a very small area, but does there have to be any, potential environmental, study or building and grounds look at it at all? That's just a question in
I have
general.
been advised that Todd, our environmental services expert here who takes care of our golf courses, will be very involved with this whole project. And
Yeah, we've met once with Todd. Matter of fact, I'm meeting again tomorrow morning at 8 with Todd, so he will be involved.
Great, thank you.
Any other comments? Kathy?
What's your time frame on getting the greenhouse bill? Big question, of course.
Greenhouse is, we hope to be moving in April.
Currently is under construction.
Right.
And as soon as the greenhouse is up and running and we have a certificate of occupancy, we'll be able to open up some areas for planting and soil work. So,
But this whole process is probably, I'm guessing, 3 years?
yeah.
Any other? Carol?
Good for you. It's long overdue. I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
And our community.
Thank you.
Any other comments? I think we have the president of the governing board, Sue Fitzsimons.
Hi, Sue Fitzsimons. I just want to applaud you. This is absolutely fabulous. My question would be, no, lost my voice. Do you have enough space to do this? Or do we need to expand your area? Because it sounds absolutely wonderful.
Whoa, don't put that idea in our head.
Well, the Arts and Design Committee, I think, contacted your club right on and kind of, thought, how would you like to be a part of beautifying the area in Sun City West? And I mean, you just took it on, and away you've gone with it. So we had also looked outside of the fence there in that big triangle. So, think beyond if you want.
Let's not burn ourselves out
Okay.
too quickly.
All right. Sounds
Let's see if the
fabulous.
donations
I like the
start
idea.
streaming in.
Makes me very happy.
Thank you.
Lynn Kellis, 129120. I just want to thank you. Your club came to our club and put it before us at the Clay Club that you were interested in doing some work there, and we think that's a fabulous idea. We welcome it. Thank you.
And they did give us some good ideas, too. Thank you.
Anyone else? All righty.
I do have some information out in the vestibule there. It's a couple color boards if you want to take a closer look on your way out.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you. Alrighty, so let's, by consensus, say, let's move this forward to the governing board workshop. Yes, 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 yes. Alrighty, so it shall be. Move to the governing board workshop. Uh, Who said that? Oh, Casey. I'm hearing things.
Do they not need to do that in front of properties? I know properties.
Yes. Yes, they know that they will be presenting to properties in March. All righty? And when this goes forward to the workshop, that'll be the workshop in March as well. All righty? All right, I thought I was hearing voices. All righty. Any other committee comments? Yes, Karen.
I have two comments. Number one was addressing the concerns about the beginners at the Clay Club. I belong to Palo Verde Patchers, and of course, people want to learn how to sew, don't have machines, and all the things that go along with it. However, we have people who move or they bring in a lot of donations, and we've had machines donated, other tools and things that go into that perhaps if you put the word out among some of your club members who no longer are going to be here and involved with that you would be open to taking any donations and set them aside for some of your classes. It might take the burden off of some of your instructors if you have things like that you can accumulate some of them without a tremendous cost to you. It does come up very handy for people that come into our clubs that we do have a lot of it that we can provide to them.
And Lynn would like to respond to that.
I just want to say thank you. Yeah, we definitely would be willing to take any donations. And we do have a couple of people that not too long ago that gave quite a few donations, and we'll be looking at that too. But you've got the wheels going. We're looking at
We're all in that situation where people come here, listen, when I first came down here, now I've been a quilter for quite some time since I've been here. My idea of hemming something was hem tape and an iron. And I had to find the iron to do it. So, I mean, you don't always come in prepared for all the wonderful things we have here.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of generous people who move or downsize. And if the word's out, sometimes they come forward and you have things. So
Thank you for that. I do have a couple more questions, but they're stuff maybe I can bother Casey with later.
Oh, sure, Casey.
Yeah.
All righty.
I have one other thing. I do have one other thing I want to
Okay, Karen.
respond to, but I know it's going to come up when you get to the audience. Could I withhold till after that presentation is made?
Oh, you think that we have someone else from the audience?
I know
that's
you do.
Okay. All right. Where is that person?
Okay.
Was this a planned attack?
My name is Nancy Steele. I'm president of the Palo Verde Patchers. And I just want to bring to your attention, and I'm not complaining, but there is a little problem with scheduling. In 1 month, I was there 4 times. The last time, Frank, our manager at Coons, the paperwork that I had submitted at the beginning of the month wasn't dated until the 19th. We had Coons Camp Thursday and Friday. The wrong information was on Friday, and our group was told to leave at 5 o'clock. We were to have Coons Camp till 8 o'clock. And I know the girl is new over there, and I'm not downing that, but I think there has to be more efficiency there. And if we could deal directly with Frank maybe on some of these matters. But Frank felt really bad when he found out what had happened, because we were to have the room and the information wasn't there. The first time I submitted information, I was told, we can't do it right away, we'll let you know. Second time I went back, I got the information that I needed, the printout. I had asked her to please call me when it's finished, I'll come get it. I never got a phone call. So the second time I picked up the information, I took it home, and a couple of days later I thought, I think I better check this out. And I did. A lot of the information that I had given her was not on the paperwork. The one class that we had canceled, one day was canceled, the other day wasn't. And I'm just trying to do everything so that we don't get charged for having something set up and not using the room. But I do think that when we hand in paperwork, if the girl can't do it right away, that's fine. But could you please call and say, it's done, please come in and pick it up so we can check it. That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, and Casey will handle that.
Gal? And Frank's very accommodating. I know that, but you can still reach out to me, and maybe do it with them instead of everywhere. So, all right.
So
All
do we
right.
go to the comment now that I was going to make?
Yes, you may comment now, Karen.
Okay. Well, for starters, I remember all the time we spent on participation and club utilization. And so being able to use the rooms for especially clubs that have a dedicated space, that maybe you're usually out of there at 4 o'clock, but the rec center does stay open until 8 o'clock, and to ask to have some special things that you can use it to 8 only helps increase participation and utilization. So it's to our advantage to make it as easy as possible for, especially, I understand where you're scheduling different rooms among clubs that don't have dedicated spaces, but if you have a dedicated room, it shouldn't be quite so hard to ask to use it for a few more hours, especially when it's going to get the number count up, which is what we all would like to see, the usage. So after all this happened, we happened to have a friend and a member who works in the office down there, the pool office at Kuntz, and I got to talking to her, and I said, are we the only club that's having this problem? She says, no, we're getting complaints all the time. So then I thought, well, okay, I'm going to ask Frank what his take on this is. So I asked Frank, and he says, it's driving me nuts. I said, Frank, my question is, do you have a suggestion that might, even if it's temporary, be helpful to the clubs for the time being? Because I know everything's a mess now. I mean, it's not just, there's really no fault. It's just the way things are right now with most businesses trying to get anything from start to finish. And he made a suggestion that I thought made a lot of sense. His suggestion was, especially for clubs that are dedicated spaces, they don't involve any intermingling on facilities, that if we just work with the facilities manager and say, hey, next week we're having a special event, instead of leaving Thursday at 4 o'clock, we're going to leave at 8 o'clock, which is still before the facility closes, it would be easy. There again, if we need a bigger trash can because we're having a potluck, rather than to have to go through everything to get that, we could walk down there and say, can we have this piece of equipment for a certain day? He has it on site. It's like we're running around the block to cross the street. It would be easier to just go to A to B instead of having to go through the whole alphabet. At least for now, it'd make it more efficient. And who knows, it might work out better than we thought.
All right. Yes.
I think all this is for Casey.
It is, obviously. Okay, so it's not happening till this summer. We are going to start looking for new scheduling. You guys, oh my gosh, Mike knows, we're trying to change a lot of things in the IT world, and one being ticketing in my end. That's in the process, contract signed, ready to go, but now we have a 3-month training process. I've asked Katie and Becca, and they said that we will absolutely be looking for a new scheduling concept. It might still be the same company or vendor, but we think they offer more than what we currently have. From the past, they never wanted anything else. I'm with you guys. I want this to spread out a little bit more so our leads have more opportunities. So what we're doing right now and I think we've been doing it for about 2 weeks, is the scheduler sends a quick glance to all of the leads the day before so that they can help each other out due to lack of staffing, so they can kind of help, you know, fill in some gaps when needed. But as far as everything that's being told right now as we speak at Kuntz is pretty much the first time I've heard this. So it's got to come down to the chain too. So I can't help you guys if I don't know about this. Frank does run that facility. Frank's boss is Jack. Jack then reports to me. So he doesn't report to me. Let me take that back. He does not report to me. He communicates to me with what's going on. So we have to have better communication. So you as the club, come to me. Scheduling falls under me. I am the supervisor for scheduling.
Okay, so then we'll just get that to you because we found out this event that we're having a monthly pretty much now, and it's just really ballooned with more and more people wanting to do it. We've actually got it scheduled out for the whole year. So then if Nancy just takes the schedule for the whole year to you, we can get it on the books, and then we don't have to worry about it. That would really be great. So thank you so much.
Yeah, just come right on in, and we'll get it together. I thought you were in there because of your quilt show coming up, to be honest with you.
No, it's special. What we have something that's called Coons Camp, and it started years ago when we were sharing rooms, and the Basketeers would close down. They'd go dark in the summer, and we had extra space. And we have so many members that we had quilt camps that we did for people who could travel out of town as a group. But we had so many members that couldn't leave a pet, couldn't leave a spouse that they were taking care of or things like that, that we started this where we camped at home. And it just really took off. And now, I mean, we have it. We fill the room, and I'll have a wait list that's at least 50% more of what I could put in there if I had that much more space. So it is an event that people do look forward to. So that's why we want to make sure we can keep it going, because it's really meant a lot, especially a lot of people that live alone.
Well, Nancy, if you don't have my email, Karen does. Just shoot me an email and let's sit down and meet. Okay?
All righty. Do we have any live comments or? Well, the workshop will be on the 8th, I believe, and then I think it's on the 22nd. Yeah, 22nd or 23rd, by the end of February. 24th of February. All righty. Any other? That's it? All righty. Just one other item. I'd like a committee member to volunteer to be secretary at our next meeting. Liane will be secretary at our March meeting. Thank you very much, Liane. And at this time, I will adjourn the meeting, saying the next meeting date is March 1st. Again, 1:30 here in the lecture hall. And thank you, everyone.